Hello everybody, welcome to the Will Levis career sim. This is after 2 weeks of play in real life, and I have simulated up to the point where we are now in real life in the video game here, and they have a losing record, therefore he does not have great morale. I did change some playbooks around, and I think we're ready to just get this thing going. He is a 24-year-old rookie, maybe a little older than you'd like. He is a prototypical size at 6'4", near 230, out of Kentucky. He's got some upside, huge arm, reminds me kind of I wouldn't say Brett Favre here, for multiple reasons, but I think he wants to be more well thought out than Brett Favre ended up being. I don't think he wants to be a gunslinger despite his crazy throw power and arm strength alone with arm talent, total different things, and make all the NFL throws. We've seen glimpses and definitely shown flashes. So I'm excited to see how he works out with the rest of this team. Obviously still have Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears is up and coming, DeAndre DeAndre Hopkins, one pretty good offensive lineman, and Peter Skronsky, the rest kind of bad. Chicago, I don't know how much you can really rely on him as time goes on, as he just proves to be kind of a one-dimensional type player. Treylon Burks is fine, sure, not anything insane. Kyle Phillips is actually clicking with him pretty well. I'm sure they took a lot of second team reps together. Jeffrey Simmons sitting here at right end should be a pretty good defensive pillar for this team. Hooker, Landry, Sean Murphy Bunting, all of them good players. I guess you can add to that list. I quite like Roger McCreary. We'll see how this all ends up, but like I said, this is where we're at in real life. Is week 10. We're ready to see how he closes out the season, and yeah, I guess let's get going. Through the last few games of the season, the Titans finished 6-11 on the season. Derrick Henry obviously had a pretty good outing, but we can look at Will Levis's numbers here. 3,100 yards, 18 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Probably not the way you want to start your career off. 59% passing isn't bad. 42 yards. He's sacked 31 times, which is actually quite a few times. Derrick Henry, a great season, 5.1 per carry, almost 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns. Receiving, DeAndre Hopkins was good. Kyle Phillips was actually very good as well. Treylon Burks is had one more reception than Kyle Phillips. Couldn't do as much with it. 665 yards. All of the top 3 receivers had 4 touchdowns, and your tight end here, Chigakonkwo, wasn't so bad himself. So team's looking good. The first season, obviously, it's not your overwhelmingly great offense. I'm not just going to put the best playbooks on because Will Levis would just go up to superstar, the superstar X factor, and then he'd be like a 90 overall in no time. It's just not fun. Will Levis headed into year number 2, doesn't have to worry about Ryan Tannehill behind him anymore, or I guess maybe possibly in front of him. Nicholas Petit-Frere takes over at right tackle. I know how well Jalen Duncan plays in the game. I don't know how he goes through simulation, but he's actually really good in the game for some reason. I have my own Tennessee Titans franchise on the channel. If you guys would like to go watch that, that's fine. Not going to do too much self-promotion here. Daniel Brunskill is taking over at guard. Dylan Raduns is your new center. Peter Skronsky left guard, and Andrew Dillard at left tackle. Pretty much the same offensive line. Wiley and Okonkwo make... Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. I forgot to generate best lineup. That is on me. They brought in Tyron Smith. Okafor. I'm going to start McLaughlin over Okafor, or Corafor there. They brought in a new center. Just not going to play center for me. That's for sure. I guess we'll just put Andrew Dillard there, highest overall player. And they brought in Alan Lazard. Not a fan of that. Treylon Burks will play over him. And Colton Dowell now has a face skin in the game. That's cool. And Kyle Phillips, do we want to elevate him here to number 3 over Alan Lazard? I don't think that's fair. I think we should let the good players play and see how they do. Defensively, what changed? Actually, not a whole lot. Weathersby is an outside linebacker. Probably should be playing left outside. I'll change some things with the depth chart, make the team as good as it could be, and we'll see if we can contend for the division, let alone the AFC, with Will Levis under center for year number 2. Team is set, and we're ready to go to midseason. I'll see you guys there. We are actually 3-4. I'd like to see how we're doing on the season. Offense, not so good, and it's actually our run game that is propelling us forward. Our defense is 20th in the league in points per game, which isn't great either, by the way. And stats and awards on the season, though. We'll see how Will Levis is faring up to this point. 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Isn't bad. Rushing, Derrick Henry, 5.5 per carry almost, and Will Levis is kind of figuring it out. Tyjae Spears is sucking, not really doing too well. Receiving, Treylon Burks, 402 yards, actually leads the team, getting a lot on the average reception. I didn't even realize that. Okay, Alan Lazard stepping into a little bit of a role as well. Chigakonkwo doing his thing. Defensively, Frankie Louvu leading the team in tackles. Jeffrey Simmons doing Jeffrey Simmons things. Will Levis is playing up with morale, so I guess on the season and himself, like Madden thinks he's doing a good job this season, so he doesn't really get that, I don't know, the down morale now, so instead he's actually playing up a little bit. Awareness could be better, but I'd like field general to be probably just a tad bit better on him. He's a solid 74 overall now, and that will upgrade accuracy mid, and I believe short even just went up. So we'll see how the rest of his season fares. We'll auto upgrade Hassan Haskins. I think he's a bad person in real life, by the way. We actually do finish 9-8. We miss out on the playoffs probably just by a win and a hair behind the Jaguars, just 2 less wins than them. Will Levis leading this team, doing a pretty good job holding the turnovers to a minimum for a younger quarterback. Will Levi's 3,200 yards, 25 touchdowns rushing. Derrick Henry was fine once again. Tyjae Spears did step it up the second half of the season, almost averaging 4 yards per carry. DeAndre Hopkins was good. Traylon Burks was fine. Nobody's really producing at an insane rate. Chigakonkwo just continues to be good as well. Frankie Louvu, great. Jeffrey Simmons, amazing. And amazing again in the sack category. I won't be keeping tabs with defense like this every single time. Oh, this is interesting. I'm looking for new playbooks, and Bryce Young has a new face scan as well. I don't like it. I know Will Levis has his new one. I don't like this at all for Bryce Young. Will Levis not really moving overall wise. I mean, sure, started at what, like at 69 overall, now up to 74. So actually it's not horrible to see him going up 5 overalls in 2 seasons. I'd like to see a new dev trait. I did change schemes as well. Good season out of him wouldn't be the worst thing ever. Looking around at this team, his defense is enough to support him, but this offense is really weak, especially in the receiving core. Chigakonkwo and Traylon Burks probably headlining that group, and it's not a great one. Kyle Phillips can step into a bigger role, and then it looks like they have some normal depth rookie that is looking to, I guess, just raise expectations, maybe be the guy, who knows. But Will Levis will have to figure it out with limited weapons and a great run game, though. He's got 2 very solid running backs, and Derrick Henry at this point, probably at that regression point where the next 2 years, he'll probably just be on a 1-year deal and a 1-year deal after that, and might retire soon. And then Tyjae will step into a role if he continues with this team. Contracts are pretty much out of my control. I'm just simulating the career, not really rebuilding a team here. Will Levis will start this upcoming season +1 morale up to a 76 overall. He's already 26 years old, and he's far off from playing through this rookie contract. He's still got probably another 2 years, right? He's got he's got this year and next year on this rookie deal, and since he was a 2nd-round pick, there is no 5th year option. So that'll lead him to mid-season here, where I'll see you guys next. I think this is exactly how we started off last season as well, at 3-4. Not exactly the ideal way, and Will Levis is exploding here, though. 1,700 yards up, you know, if you want to round up, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Really great start. Derrick Henry is fading a little bit, and Tyjae Spears not so great again. Sean Webster really taking over the receiving group, perhaps is the guy. Kyle Phillips doing a good job out of the slot, and Traylon Burks kind of as a miscellaneous, you know, number 2 guy sort of deal. And defensively, I mean, not really a whole lot going on to help him out, actually. Maybe just stopping the run well. This time we finished the season worse when the Jaguars are worse, of course. We needed to get there. We just don't have that team to really get us to that playoff spot, which is fine. Will Levis still threw for a pretty good season, all things considered. 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, only 15 interceptions. That's not only 15 receptions or interceptions would be like a pretty, you know, man, that's almost 1 per game. You'd like to see a little less than that. Rushing, Derrick Henry was fine. Spears really not finding his footing, but 21 touchdowns from Derrick Henry is quite fun. Traylon Burks finishes over 1,000. That's kind of funny. Sean Webster did a good job, and Kyle Phillips, both all complimentary pieces. Derrick Henry in the pass game was fine. Tyjae, I guess, was good as well. 2 touchdowns each. This offense really just hasn't found its footing, and I don't think the guys have been playing together for enough time to really be meshing, and nor do you really have that reliable or steady Eddie that you're looking to just constantly distribute the ball out to if you're Will Levis. But yeah, we'll see how he does, how the team wants to build around him this upcoming season, and we'll see what overall and everything like that Will Levis continues and will end up being. Oh, that's funny. Not actually, but that's kind of funny. They brought in Sam Howell. He's just not going to be the guy. Will Levis will play over him. Hey, they had let's say they had a little competition in the preseason. Will Levis wins the starting job. Good for him. That's cool. Tutu Atwell is now on this team. No more Kyle Phillips, and Webster up to that star development is nice. He will start. He's a little younger than Traylon Burks. I like what he brings to the table a little bit more. Offensive line only continues to get better, seems to be a focal point. And they drafted a superstar X Factor young. What the hell? So this guy's on roster for less than $1 million. He's undrafted in 2025. Looks like we just picked him up a year later with superstar X Factor. That is insane. This is uncharted territory for me. I've never seen this in my life. And Elijah Molden, Tyrann Mathieu, Caden Stearns. So he did get worse in the safety room, losing Micah Hyde, bringing in another veteran to play free safety. Obviously don't trust Elijah Molden. Caden Stearns perhaps might find his way, you know, to being that starting safety long term, but I don't really see it. Caleb Farley, Freeman, Burt Murphy Bunting. It's not a bad group in Roger McCreary superstar development. Good defensive line, good pass rushing people. I don't know. I like the team quite a bit right now. I think if we're going to make a push at any time, I think it's this year. And once again, we start off 3-4. Obviously, not the best way to start the season. Will Levis, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Getting a little bit better with the turnovers. Ty J really has stepped up to be the guy that we want him to be after Derrick Henry's done, as he continues to regress in terms of numbers and overall. Traylon Burks and Sean Webster continue to headline the receiving group, with Chigoziem Okonkwo just playing, just kind of sticking around. It's not bad play by him or anything. Aziz Al-Shaair doing a good job. I don't know. I'm curious to see what the rankings are with this team, because honestly, it looks pretty well rounded, but I don't know. Our offense is still 22nd in the league, and our defense is bottom 3 in the league. Not what you like to see, somehow squeaking out 3 wins still, though. We'll see how we can, you know, fare the rest of the season. We finished 6-11. Our defense was bottom, 2? So 31st in the league. Offense was 29th in the league. Not the numbers you need to be good or get a depth trade upgrade for your starting quarterback. 3,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. We'll see if Will Levis wants to stay here. 4 yards per carry is not bad. As it is the end of his contract, Sean Webster not over 1,000 yards, but was the leading receiver by far. No stretch of the imagination will you find a receiver close to Traylon Burks or Sean Webster on this team, which is quite surprising. So like I mentioned, will Levis return? He has about 2 options: return with a perhaps a long-term deal, maybe short-term, you never know, but return with a deal to the Titans, or move on, find a new spot, try to settle into that offense instead of trying to stick around with the lack of offensive weapons. And you know, perhaps a pretty good O-line, though. Moment of truth here. It does not look like Will Levis returned to the team, and it doesn't look like they believe in Sam Howell either, bringing in a 74 overall hidden development player. O-line just continues to get better for Sam Howell, who will probably be this next year's starter. We'll go find Will Levis. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Well, landed with the Jags. For all that says, he's going to be sitting behind Trevor Lawrence. They have 3 viable quarterbacks. How is Will Levis older than Trevor, or what? Yeah, well, I thought I called Will Levis Will Lawrence. My brain's scrambled right now. Will Levis will be traded. Done deal. Will Levis is across for a 4th and a 6th this year for the Washington Commanders. Weird landing spot. Him and Sam Howell end up just basically overlap for a year and then switch spots. It's hard to explain, but it looks like a good situation to go to as a young quarterback. So Will Levis will come in and step in as the starting quarterback, as Trey Lance probably isn't going to do it for you. You can look around. It's a really good offensive line. Walker Little, Stromberg, Flanagan, and you got Bigsby, and then a superstar X Factor tackle, which is really fun. Defensively, though, very good. Just overall team, and I'd like to see it get better, and the only way that's going to happen is with a better quarterback. Will Levis will step in. Now, mind you, this is just a 1-year deal. We'll see. It's kind of like a trial run, bridge quarterback sort of deal, where it looks like the team's good enough to win now. Need someone to, you know, live out those aspirations, those, you know, the plan, you know. Trend doesn't change. We're starting off 3-4 again. Don't know what's really gone into this, but yeah, Will Levis actually 1 interception for every touchdown. Not great, but 1,600 yards is a good way to start the season. Brian Robinson, Will Levis, and Jaleel Weathers all running the ball. Receiving, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Nico Collins, Michael White, the tight end, all doing a good job, but Jahan Dotson seems to be the main guy, I guess. And the superstar X Factor tackle is giving up 8 sacks in just as many games. Defensively, that team could use some work. Commanders finished the season just 7-10. It is Carolina regime over here, both offense and defense. The head coach came over from Carolina carrying the scheme with him, so it is a lot of the Bryce Young related stuff or anything you see with the Carolina playbooks. Terry McLaurin, not even over 1,000 yards, is the leading receiver despite 11 less catches than Jahan Dotson, which is interesting. Defensively, Jamin Davis, not even over 100, 16.5 sacks for Sam Hubbard, and 11.5 for Bryce Huff is insane. Interceptions, Derek Force and Cam Curl doing a good job. So Carolina playbooks for defense doesn't seem like the worst thing ever. I'm going to try to pair it up with something else on offense. I think that's kind of our best bet right now. That is only if Will Levis wants to return to the Commanders, to Washington, to the new regime, where they can implement that that switch I was saying or talking about. We'll see if he even returns to the team before I make those adjustments. Will Levis has returned as a Washington Commander. He is 29 years old already. Really interesting situation that he's put in here. His contract is only worth $5 million for the next 3 years. Cheap quarterback option, perhaps can play at the level they want and or need to pull this team over the top. We'll see how it all fares. It looks like you do lose a little bit on defense, a little bit of pace here with the interior guys, but I don't know. Like I said, we'll see how this fares. Carolina's play. Oh, Azeez Al-Shaair is actually here as well, something I just saw. Linebacker followed Will Levis from Tennessee. I'll make those changes to the scheme now. Boy, here we go, breaking that 3-4 streak, starting 5-1, and our offense is number 8 and our defense is actually performing pretty bad. But as I see it, Will Levis has 1,600 yards, holding off on those turnovers, and 14 touchdowns rushing, my bad, not receiving. Brian Robinson isn't running the ball all that well. Jahan Dotson getting some reps, Nico Collins doing a good job, and Terry McLaurin kind of fading as his years go. And I don't know, defense isn't really holding up their end of the deal. We'll see how they close out the season with the rest of the offense. 5-1 is a great start. Can they finish it throughout the season? We'll have to see. We go 13-4, and Will Levis led team is now the #1 seed in the whole NFC, not AFC. NFC. Will Levis switches conferences, switches teams, gets that money, gets the deal, gets the faith. All right, people are invested in Will Levis now. He's showing why. 4,200 yards, 32 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Still a bit much on the interception side of things. Receiving, Terry McLaurin, 1,300 yards. Nico Collins up next. Jahan Dotson is still kind of lacking, actually. 17 yards per catch for Nico Collins is quite insane on just 57 receptions. And we'll see the defensive side of the ball here. They did kind of follow through the last half of the season. And yeah, great start to a campaign here. We'll have the New York Giants, where in real life they don't really look as a threat here, but we are a few years into the future now, and they are, and we lose to them. We lose by 6. Weekly awards. Is it Will Levis? It is not. Jamin Davis. Will Levis in just week 2 of the season, though, went 30 of 40, and 405 yards follows that with 4 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown on 9 carries for 28 yards. Later in the season, ended up getting back onto the weekly award board with going 23 of 30, 193 yards, 4 touchdowns that way, only 2 carries for 7 yards. Must have been a rough day in the NFC if that's the best, if that's your weekly award winner. We'll go to next season. The team will continue to build, and we'll see how they do it, what they tend to focus on during the offseason. So the team is still pretty good, and the offensive line is still like put together well. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Spiller, Conley, you've got some guys in here for sure. This is your tight end that can a very apparent vertical threat, considering he's a 75 overall receiver, so he's pretty good. But defensively, this is where we are hit and miss. I feel like we're more hit than miss, though, because you can look around. X Factor, middle linebackers, not bad at all. You've got a good, strong linebacking crew. Your safeties are still pretty good. And then you have 2 superstar development corners, and then a 79 overall. One of them is probably playing the slot. And the defensive line's kind of, I'd say that this is all right. This is still pretty good. Jonathan Allen, a superstar X Factor. Then you draft this guy to come in and play alongside him. And then obviously have Bryce Huff, who, if I remember correctly, had some pretty good numbers. So we're looking pretty good. The team's looking pretty good. Will Levis is looking pretty good. and we'll see how we can do through the season. We do take a step down. We are 3-4 to start the season, despite having the 7th best offense in the league. We are the 2nd to worst defense in the league. Not exactly the combo you want players to upgrade. Honestly, if I don't see Will Levis, I just auto upgrade all of them. Do have a tough matchup as well, and likely we'll dig ourselves to like a 3-5 record before it can get any better. Will Levis is 3rd in the league in passing yards at this point at 18, almost 1900, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions is a bit much. And we've got a pretty good runner back here. He's close to 4 yards on average, which isn't bad. Terry McLaurin's not doing all that bad either, and the tight end's really stepping up and quite frankly doing a great job with his touches. 5 touchdowns for Jahan Dotson, actually leads the team despite having, you know, about 10 less catches than Terry McLaurin. Defensively, just seeing if there's any players to highlight. Nope, not really. And we finished the season 5-12. Not a great way to finish the season, although there is a bright spot. Will Levis threw the 5th most yards in the league at almost 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and a lot of interceptions following that. I'm not a fan of that for sure, and still ran for 440 yards on the ground. Very good year for Will Levis just overall, but as a team, not really. Some competition. It's a year following, and Childers is actually a superstar X Factor. He'll make sure to start. But Will Levis here at 77 overall, already hitting the regression at just, you know, 8 years or 7 years into his career. Not good news for him, as he does have a nice young up-and-comer that is gonna, you know, try to take his spot. Last year of his deal might not get renewed thanks to Mick Adams down here. Will Levis had a mass season last year with the interceptions, reason he doesn't really get a depth trade upgrade, which is unfortunate. You do lose Terry McLaurin. That's kind of an asset that you hate to miss, and defense only improved, and Allen's not really regressing at such a high rate. So I don't know. We'll see how this turns out. I feel like we could definitely do a lot better this year than we did last if enough things go right. We are 4-3 at the midseason mark. We do improve a little bit off of last season, but I am curious what our quarterback is up to. 1,900 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Now this is what you like to see. Will Levis is putting up numbers, and Divins, I don't think that he's supposed to be getting the bulk of the carries, but whatever. Receiving, Jahan Dotson doing a great job. Seems to be that new reliable target for Will Levis after missing Terry McLaurin. Nothing flashy or special on defense. We'll see how they close out the year. If it starts off this good, you're obviously on pace for a good spot. You are the top of a competitive division. We'll see if they end on top. Talking about a competitive division, we are against our division opponents in the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys have made it. We have made it. And the Eagles have made it. That's 3 teams from the NFC East in the playoffs. It's a bit scary out there right now. We've got a very good division around us, and obviously that's not what you like. Will Levis, this is what I like. 42, almost 4,300 yards, 37 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. All you had to do is light a fire under his ass with Mick Adams, the young quarterback that they drafted. He might get his contract renewed, him being Will Levis. Jahan Dotson was the steady Eddie here. Marion Conley, though, 14 touchdowns, must have been playing the slot, and still nothing really special on defense. In a wild card matchup, in a crucial situation for Will Levis, contract year, young player looking to take his spot. He needs to prove himself as a franchise guy, and this is not doing it. You're down 17 to end the third. It's 23-10. Okay, there's a bright spot at least, and 17-23, nothing going. A late charge is a little too late and will not get past. We will be headed out of the wild card. We will not advance forward. It looked like a decent game from Will Levis. Now, Will Levis. That's his name, right? What am I? Oh my god. Anyways, will he retire? Will he be on a new team, or will he renew and extend a contract with the Washington Commanders? Only one way to find out. Let's see what Will Levis does. And there is no Will Levis, and Mick Adams will take over, and his twin will. I don't think he'll push him for the starting job, but it'll be the backup. Oh my great goodness. Will Levis not going to be the starter. I don't know. This guy, Jamie Carter, Will Levis, he's probably up to star development now. He is. Can we find a starting spot for him in the league and trade him there? There is no starting spot for Will Levis anymore, but hey, what is a good storyline? young quarterback. It looks like he is, you know, extended on a new year or new deal as long as he wasn't a first-round pick, except the option, all that good stuff. Basically, Jamie Carter, news in Tennessee, he's gone down with a torn ACL or Achilles. He will be out for the rest of the year. Will Levis will step in the veteran role. Luckily, they were able to get him in free agency, and they're going to let Alexander Spencer sit behind him. Will Jamie Carter heals up. This Tennessee Titans team is still like very, very good offensively. Obviously, you're gonna have Will Levis because Jamie Carter, despite whatever it says, he has a torn Achilles. He's out for the rest of the season. And Webster has come into his own. They have Pritchett, and actually Traylon Burks is still here, which is you know, quite frankly surprising. Good tight end, but defensively, look at this team. Great linebackers, and you have an okay D line. Probably hope for better, but Jeffrey Simmons can carry the team. Don't know why he's playing a 4-3 edge defender. He's just not that sort of player in my eyes. Brian Cook and Willis make your safety group. Roger McCreary, Stokes, and Pierman are your corners. So team obviously looks good, but can they live up to expectations? Only one way to find out. Will Levis, the veteran, under center for for the first half of the season, perhaps the whole season for the Tennessee Titans. And surprisingly enough, the Tennessee Titans are 4-3 in a Will Levis led team. He's just doing what he has to, keeping the turnovers to a minimum, throwing the touchdowns up towards 1,500 yards. He's on pace for a good season. Marquise Lindsey there doing a great job on the ground. Traylon Burks probably should be a little bit better, a little bit of that former chemistry with Will Levis, but we're not really going to talk about that now. And defensively, any flash players? Jeffrey Simmons, not really. So move on for the rest of the season. The young quarterback, whoever, I can't even remember his name, who Will Levis ended up replacing, is going to stick on the bench. Will Levis will be the starter for the remainder of the season, postseason, and all that good stuff. I think I spoke too highly of Will Levis. 6-11 is how we finished the season. Probably not the best way to finish if you want to finish a career. 3,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. It wasn't a bad season at all. Like, quite frankly, it was actually a pretty good one of the better ones in terms of just efficiency for Will Levis throughout his career. He's not going to be breaking any records or anything. It's not really a big deal that Will Levis is. He's not really a big deal, I should have said. So that being said, we can go through his career into 2023. Goes 3,100 yards, 32 basically, and then starts to step it up here. 25. The interceptions kind of rose, and then had his best season, probably still this one, and then continued to just get better and better. And then he threw for 4,200 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. So the interceptions number was generally high until this season and came through. 4,300 yards, 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions was really good. And then this last season he was fine and nothing really great, all things considered. It was a tough career for Will Levis, but fact is, in the game he made it work. In real life, I think he's in a little bit more of a promising trajectory. We'll see how he does, how he follows through with a brilliant start to his career. He's been really good. The only time we've seen like him really break down is when the game was on the line and a lot of things were just against him in that situation. And honestly, I'm excited to see how he develops, how he goes about his future, everything like that. In real life, we saw his career path in the game, and it's in my eyes, I think he could do, and has a promise to do, a lot better in real life than he did in the game. So that'll be all from me. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, go down, subscribe, go watch any of the past content on the YouTube channel. It's my guarantee to you, you will enjoy all the past content on this channel. That'll be all. Deuces!